Alliance for Food and Nutrition, a conglomerate and cooperative unification of government interest and corporate interest, has claimed that it wants and is able to lift 50 million Africans out of food poverty by 2022. In this quick, short, sharp episode, we're going to be looking at whether those claims are true and the effects of the idea of putting private interest into trying fixing some of the continent of Africa's most dire problems in terms of food security and generation. European countries, many of the countries that make up the G7, as well as 10 African nations, together with businesses, have decided that corporations, when allowed to take hold of freeholdings in countries such as Tanzania that are traditionally used for tomato agriculture, that they'll be able to invest over £8 billion in African agriculture. The problem is what we've seen is an exacerbation of enclosures, clearances, and even violent clashes between shareholders, crofters, nomadic peoples, as well as small and big farmers. What's happening is the G7, international bodies, corporations, as well as African governments, like the Tanzanian government, are exacerbating existing tensions between different sets of farmers and people who cultivate the land, and this in turn is causing huge amounts of political destabilization. Corporations end up seizing land, leading to large-scale evictions, land grabs, abuse of human rights. Tanzania has seen tomato production actually stagnate. The idea is that the Tanzanian government would advertise huge amounts of free land for corporations with a social conscience to come in and with partnership alongside government and regional powers to invest in Tanzanian agriculture. That hasn't happened. 350,000 hectares of land have been offered up in Tanzania, many going for as cheap as $1 a hectare. The theory is that corporations will come in, they shall be able to have a share of the land, they'll have a role in crafting land reform legislation, the connection between judicial rights and arable land production and allocation. But we haven't seen a growth of food production, and we haven't seen an increase in the efficiency and use of land. In Tanzania, only 24% of arable land is being used in increased productivity. Many African nations, whether West Africa, North Africa, East or South, have huge potential when it comes to technology, when it comes to legal sophistication, institutional stability and development, as well as economic potential. We have to be very suspicious of countries that make up the G7, European initiatives, US initiatives, Russian and Chinese initiatives. But we also have to focus on African governments who allow their people, many of them in rural communities, to be pitted against one another, for land to be used as a commodity, not as a piece of resource that people can have a custodianship of, but as something which can be bartered between huge corporations and not to the benefit, whether economical or agricultural, of anyone. Reduced levels of productivity, the lack of efficiency in the use of arable land are huge problems in Tanzania, and this all stems from this connection between international institutions meant to be impartial, corporate power, and also legal sanction by the international community, European powers, and African governments.